大家好, this is Jerry, and I'm in China right now. I want to give a big shout out to Kailey for asking me this question. She said, how do you use a Chinese dictionary? So this is my cousin Jackie's dictionary, and I will give you two methods to use it, an easy method and a hard method. Now, unfortunately, a lot of you are going to use the hard method, and that's because of the nature of the Chinese language. So first of all, let's talk about the easy method. The easy method is if you speak a little Chinese, or you've been around Chinese speakers enough that you kind of know how a character looks, but you're not sure, and you kind of know how it sounds. So those two criteria, right? It's hard to fulfill that. But let's talk about the easy method first. So the Chinese dictionary in phonetic terms, as in sounding out, structured like any other dictionary. It goes A to Z. As long as you know the sound and potentially what the character looks like, so you have an idea, you can go alphabetically, A to Z. And so let's say I heard a word shen, and I was like, I kind of know what it looks like, and someone told me it kind of means province. So see, I'm in the S section, right? Going alphabetically. And then so shen, so it's probably S-H-E-N. So let's go here, right? So we're in the S-H-E-N section. Look, they break it down by tones. So it always starts in the first tone and then ends with the fourth tone. So we're gonna, this shen, this third tone. It looks like I should actually be in the S-H-E-N-G section. So we'll go to S-H-E-N-G, shen. A lot of dialects don't really distinguish a lot of those consonants too well. And here we go. This was the word I was looking for. This means province. Now, some of you might look at this and go, but Jerry, how do I understand the definitions? Yeah, see, that's why most people who study Mandarin as a second language have to use one of those English Chinese dictionaries. So what have we established? We've established that phonetically it goes alphabetical in the dictionary. So you start with the A's, and of course, Chinese has some pronunciations that you might not be familiar with. So within the A section, within the B section, within the C section, etc., there's going to be different ways of pronouncing. So you would have to learn your pinyin, your pronunciation, right? So that's a prerequisite. You have to know your pinyin. Now's the part that I think all of you want to know, which is, well, I see a character, whether I'm reading, I'm looking at a sign or whatever, and I want to know what the character means. At least I want to know how to pronounce it. So what do you do? To solve this conundrum, you have to understand how Chinese characters are structured. Chinese characters usually have an up-down structure, a left-right structure, or an outside-inside structure. There's some other ones, but those are the major ones. So there's a part of the Chinese character called the radical. Again, I don't know why it's called a radical, but in Chinese it's called the 部首 or the 偏旁. And basically, this is the part of the character that sort of gives you a hint as to what the meaning is. And the reason you have to know this is you have to start by looking for all the characters that have this radical. To do that, you have to know how many strokes the radical is. Let's look at some examples. Here, it starts you out with one-stroke radicals, two-stroke radicals. So let's say we're looking for a three-stroke radical here. Let's say we saw a word that had this radical. You see that? Then we go to the second part, which is we go to all the characters who have that radical. So we go to page 15. And this is the part when I first started using the Chinese dictionary in China. This is the part that the teacher warned us would be confusing because there's separate pages for looking for radicals, and then there's separate pages for looking for all the characters that the radicals make up. Once you find the radical, you have to count how many strokes the other part, the non-radical part of the character is. So we're on page 15. Look at this. Remember, we were looking for this radical. Here are some of the characters that use the radical. Hey, this looks like the one I was looking for. So now we go to page 406. 406. And look at this. Right here. It has it listed with its pinyin. So, ping. That's how you use the dictionary. Let's do another example because again, I'm sure this was a little confusing, a little complex. Let's say you looked at my Chinese name and you didn't know how to pronounce it. So let's break it down, okay? What do? Let's look at which one's the radical. The radical usually is the more simpler part of the character. So it's probably this thing, right? How many stroke orders is it? It's 1, 2, 3. Okay, so we go back to our dictionary, right? We first look for the radicals. We have to look at 3-stroke radicals. So we're here, right? We're at the 3-stroke radicals right here. Look at this. So now we go to page 37. Again, 37 of the character section that contains the radicals, right? Not 37 of the actual dictionary. So we go to 37 right here. And now, when you find the radical, you then have to count how many strokes the other side of the character is. How many strokes is the other side of the character? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we go to 7. And then let's see if we find it. Oh, I found it. I found it. Look at this. 644. Right here, guys. Yeah. Yeah. So that is how you find the pronunciation of my name. So let's summarize the process. You have to know what the radical is compared to the whole symbol. Then you find the number of strokes in the radical. There's one part of the dictionary where you find the radical. Then there's the second part of the dictionary where you find all the different symbols that are under that radical. And then the third part, the big part of the dictionary, is where you find the actual symbol, the actual word. The limitation is if you don't speak Mandarin or any other Chinese language already, you're not going to understand the definitions, right? The use of a Chinese dictionary, for those of you who are just studying or starting your study, is that you'll be able to find the pronunciations of any word. But besides that, you won't really be able to explore the word or the definitions or pairings, etc. But this is a start, man. I want to give Kailey a big shout out because I never thought about teaching you guys how to use a Chinese dictionary. Obviously, there's a few more steps because Chinese characters are a little bit different than, let's say, Spanish or Italian, where there's no symbols. I want to give you guys a big encouragement to keep learning. And leave your questions, please, because I got a lot more I could show you guys. All right, guys, thank you so much. 谢谢大家，再见。